Hello everyone, and a very good afternoon or evening depending on where you are joining us from. My name is Charlene and I will be your host for this webinar today. Thank you very much for joining us to discuss how to enhance your institution's careers service provision and explore Epigeum's new online course, Skills and Attributes for Career Success, Developing an Enterprising Mindset. We should be taking about 45 minutes to an hour of your time today, including an opportunity for a designated question and answer session at the end. If you are familiar with the GoToWebinar software that we're using, you might know that there is a questions option as part of the panel on the right-hand side of your screen. If you'd like to ask a question as and when they occur to you, please feel free to type them up and send them through via the panel on the right-hand side, and we're happy to receive those as we're going through. We'll also be making a recording of the webinar available early next week on our YouTube channel if you wish to view it again or share it with any colleagues who would find this of interest. At the moment, you are all on mute because the feedback can sometimes affect the quality of the sound. So if you do have any questions or issues you would like to raise, please do so in the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen. So firstly, I'd like to do a few introductions. We are joined today by Tom Davie and Dr. John Howden-Evans, who will be leading the discussion, and I'll let them introduce themselves now, beginning with Tom.
Good afternoon, good evening everybody. I'm Tom Davie. I'm the former head of Sunderland Futures and the Careers and Employability Service at the University of Sunderland, and before that I was deputy head of Durham University as well in the North East. My background has been management, but also as a careers practitioner, and last week I celebrated 35 years as a careers advisor, careers practitioner, and 22 of those years have been in higher education combined with my management experience as well. So that's my general background, and I'm looking forward to talking to you this evening and this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. My name's John Howden-Evans. I'm currently head of the employability service here at Swansea University. I am a qualified solicitor by trade, and I fell into careers advice almost by accident. I arrived at Swansea University 14 years ago to teach law students just at the time that the market for law graduates started to dry up. So I found myself in that difficult position of working with final year students who were finding it difficult to get graduate jobs at the end of their degree. So it kind of altered the way that we taught and we assessed here at Swansea. And 14 years later, I find myself working with Tom and Charlene on this innovative project to support a whole host of students.
Thank you very much, Tom and John. And just to introduce myself, I'm Charlene on the left-hand side of the screen. I am the product manager for the studying portfolio at Epigeum, and I work in the marketing team to help universities promote our courses. So just a quick look at the agenda this morning before we get started. First, we'll look at Epigeum itself. We are the organisation that puts together transformative online courses through a unique collaborative model. Then we'll move on to Tom and John's presentations, and they will take us through what the current challenges are regarding careers provision at the moment and how we should be preparing for an ever-changing global work environment. Following this, I will provide a brief demonstration of our newest online course, Skills and Attributes for Career Success, and then we'll wrap up with a Q&A session. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you do have any questions, feel free to type them up in the panel on the right-hand side. Now I will give you a quick overview of Epigeum. We were founded in 2005 as a spin-out originally from Imperial College London in England. Our two founders created the company in response to what they felt was a lack of timely support for researchers. They saw this as an opportunity to work with universities to create accessible and interactive supportive materials for researchers. Over the years, Epigeum has grown and we have expanded to providing courses for students and for staff. We were acquired by Oxford University Press a few years ago. OUP is a division of the University of Oxford, so is a non-for-profit organisation in a higher education context. We have created over 92 online courses across 23 different programmes, and we currently have 4 in development. The studying portfolio of our courses covers the entire student journey, from support with transitioning into higher education to support with career development and writing skills. A few of our studying courses are listed here. These resources reflect the importance of being proactive about the student experience in higher education and help ensure universities are providing an environment to enable students to thrive and get what they want out of their time at university. Our newest course, Skills and Attributes for Career Success, Developing an Enterprising Mindset, has been designed to encourage students to develop their key skills and attributes and therefore foster an enterprising mindset to help their future career development. Here, you can see some of the topics that our course covers, including negotiation skills, effective planning, problem solving and decision making, leadership by using their initiative, commercial awareness, and creative and innovative thinking. This course aims to support the development of key enterprise skills for the workplace, provide clear links between the skills and how they might be applied at work, convey how skills can be developed at university, and help students articulate their skills and experience to potential employers. Later on in the webinar, I'll give you a quick whiz tour around the course so you can get a feel as to how it looks like. Now going back to Epigeum, we are an increasingly globally focused organisation and have worked with over 260 universities across 30 different countries worldwide. This is a map to show you the international spread of universities that are using our courses. I would like to briefly touch on implementation here, which is how the courses can be used at your institution. This can be in a number of different ways. Firstly, it can be used as a standalone academic course. You can supply the participants with online multimedia-rich courses immediately at the time and place that they need it, so that would be in a self-study mode. Secondly, we have the option for tutor-supported online courses. And finally, it can also be used as part of a blended learning program. Typically, how this works is that the participants are given an access to the online course ahead of a workshop or a group gathering, and then the workshop or the group gathering would really focus on consolidation and application of the material. The courses can also be implemented in 3 modes at once. If you choose to use any of our courses, Epigeum has a technical team who will help you integrate the course from pre-installation through to promoting the course internally to your end users. This team ensures your university gains maximum benefits from using our online provision with ongoing support, technical training and advice whenever you need it. So hopefully I've given you a bit of a background to Epigeum and how we put our online courses together. I'd be happy to take any questions on that process, but for now I will hand over to Tom.
Thanks very much, Charlene, and as I said, good evening or good afternoon again to you all. Charlene's going to operate my slides for me, so I'll be saying to her as we go along, next slide. So it might seem a bit clunky, but it's the best way to get the technology working today as well. The first slide is taken from a blog that I wrote for Epigeum a couple of months ago, I think it was now. And the reason why I put that down today is not out of any self-indulgence, but more a reflection of why I feel this course is so important. Important in terms of the growth and of the skills and the development of those students that you're working with in Australia, New Zealand, wherever you are today. And it really shows a synergy to me between the opportunities that we offer at universities with the opportunities that students have when they progress into employment. So for me, this course, and I'll say a little bit more about this as we go along, isn't just about skills and attributes for success while those students are at university, but it's a tool for them to take forward throughout their working lives. So it really is a method of recognizing and comprehending the skills that they have, while also recognizing that you guys are doing a heck of a lot of good work within your institutions, in partnerships, with academics, with senior members of the university staff, etc. When I was putting this presentation together, I very much saw this as a continual progress, and this slide really reflects what I feel about the skills and attributes for career success, but also about career planning at the moment as well. My own experience at working at universities, both as I say as a manager but also as a careers practitioner, is that students develop their career learning and their career maturity at different stages. So we may see a first year undergraduate who is very, very self-aware, who is very, very self-conscious about what they want to do as a career, and ultimately see that through and progress through that. Others don't actually reach and attain that journey of self-awareness and career progression till often after they've graduated. So what to me this course does is it shows the continuous growth of students, or it enables that continuous growth of students, but it also allows them to develop their skills and attributes through different learning styles and different mechanisms and different tools that Charlene will show you when she shows you some of the sample course material that has been produced by the excellent writers that Epigeum have employed on this course. So to me, what our course is doing is embedding skills and attributes and recognizing the development and the psyche of students and graduates, whatever stage of their career progression. And importantly, recognizing that this course isn't just for the 18 to 21-year-old undergraduate, but that in our institutions, wherever we are across the world, these students are mature students or have developed skills and attributes through part-time work, full-time work, extra or co-curriculum activities. And it's recognizing and unlocking some of those skills and attributes using the course that we've got. This is some research that's been done by the Association of Graduate Recruiters just this year, and yes, it is UK-centric in terms of its statistics, and I don't apologise for putting those up, even though I'm talking to the Southern Hemisphere at the moment. My own experience of having done some work in South Africa and in Southeast Asia as a careers trainer with the Association of Graduate Careers Advisory Services suggests that although these statistics may not be as accurate or specific to Australasia, they are actually endemic in terms of what students are doing at the moment, the millennial generation of students. So your stats may differ, but the movement of students, even though the statistics themselves, the 24%, 20% might be different in your institutions and in your countries, the main premise is that we are in a global labour market, and that within that global labour market there is an osmosis, that students will move around employers and move from career to career. And we would anticipate, whether it's in the Southern Hemisphere or the Northern Hemisphere, that a student starting work at 21, 22 may have 4, 5, 6 different jobs in the future. And some of the jobs that they will be doing in 20 or 30 years' time may not be jobs that actually exist now. And I know John's going to mention a little bit more about that in his presentation. So I just thought I'd flag up those statistics in terms of career change, better pay, career progression, and basically the endemic needs that those students have for progression and the motivations for success. So it's just continuing that as well. Organisations that retain graduate talent are those that invest in them. Hiring graduate or great talent only works if that talent is meaningfully developed, coached and managed. So that might actually contradict what I've just said, but it is in the interests of ourselves and the employers that we service and serve with to ensure that that labour market that comes to them is well prepared to hit the ground and running. And we all hear that, don't we? That employers, graduate recruiters are saying, what we really need is somebody who can come into our organisation and in a very short period of time be able to start producing the goods for our organisation and for our clients. And I really passionately feel that the skills and attributes that we have identified on our course will prepare those students for that first step and those continuous steps throughout their career, whether it's within an individual organisation or a multitude of organisations as well. This might seem a little bit comical, but when I was producing this, I really felt quite passionate about it. And having noticed just on my house, my wife and I's house recently, a pigeon sitting precariously on the window ledge and thinking, what do I do next? And then seeing some other pigeons flying into the tree just a few yards away, and it leaping into faith and leaping into hope that it's actually going to succeed and fly those 5-10 yards from the windowsill to the tree. I really think that's a metaphor for what we're trying to do on this course. And that is not just to throw the student out and say, well, there you go, we've given you some skills and attributes, we've given you a damn good education, we've given you perhaps some careers advice, one-to-one or online careers material, now go and fend for yourself. But what we're all doing in our institutions, and this will reflect in the next slide, if we can move it on, Charlene, please, is that whether it's at the University of Sunderland, whether it's at the University of Durham, if you can show the next slide as well, Charlie, I know I'm moving very quickly through these, but we are all developing a series of skills and attributes within our own institutions, within your own institutions, that prepare those students effectively and professionally for the world of work. And really our course is there to support and recognise that you're already doing that. When I was at Sunderland and when I was at Durham, I was responsible for, with academics and with my senior managers, for developing a series, a battery of skills and attributes, and there's the Durham ones in front of you there, and they reflect very much on the ones that we've got on the Skills and Attributes for Success course, and probably or indefinitely on the ones that you're developing as well. So we're recognising that you already are, as institutions, preparing students for success, preparing them to fly successfully to their career destination, but we're supporting that by giving you the tools, the interactive materials that you can use with your students, either as careers practitioners, professionals, managers, or embedding that within the curriculum as we did at Sunderland, at Durham, and I know that John is doing it at Swansea as well. I just thought at that point, because I'm being a little bit self-indulgent, I said I wasn't going to be, but I am, in saying that we're already doing this with the course and we already do it with our institutions. But these are really just rhetorical questions to ask you, and it might generate some questions for us all today about how does your institution align its skills and attributes with employer and graduate success? Have you got that battery of skills and attributes, or are you still developing those? And how can our course help you to grow those, I suppose, as well? How do you develop effective internal and external collaboration? I remember when I was at Durham, and this is an anecdote which I often tell, I remember being in a very senior management meeting with academics, and I was doing a presentation on skills and attributes and on careers provision, and a very senior academic put his hand up and said, can I just say something? I'm not going to ask you a question, Tom, but that's your responsibility, not ours. Now, I was a little bit of a snitch, I'll be honest. And after that meeting, I went to the Deputy Vice-Chancellor. I didn't mention who it was or which faculty he was from. But I actually said, look, I'm a bit unhappy about this. What these academics were nodding in agreement was that it isn't their responsibility to develop the attributes and success skills of our students. They see themselves as teachers, as researchers. And he said, I'll have a word with these people, don't worry, I'll keep it anonymous, but I will make sure that they recognize that partnership is critical to the success and future success of our students, and ultimately the graduate destinations that I know in the UK are very important, but are equally or almost as equally important, although the measures might be different in the Southern Hemisphere. So the last one, the green sky, is how does your institution measure success? Does it measure it by the amount of graduates who get a first or a 2-1, or go into professional jobs, however we may define those? Do we measure it longitudinally, or just after 6 months or a year after graduation? And how does that ultimately, and crudely if I may say, put bums on seats? Future bums on seats in your institutions. Again, I thought very carefully when I was presenting this about this being a triumvirate, that student success ultimately leads to employer success and institutional success. And I saw it very much as a pyramid of evolution, revolution and change. And let me explain that a little bit more in terms of what I feel that means. When I was at Sunderland, I was wanting to encourage a revolution amongst my staff, and my managers supported me on this. The traditional practices, and I am part of that traditional esteem of professional careers advisors who believe in careers guidance and in the empowerment of students to reach their ultimate career goal. But that has to be done in the context and the reality of a revolution. So at Sunderland we had careers coaches who were doing mock interviews, who were coaching students to have the confidence and belief in themselves to actually get there, to get to their career goal. So it wasn't just about, well, these are the career options open to me with a history degree or an engineering degree and the transferable skills, etc. But it was very much, and this course is very much, about a preparedness for work. It's about encouraging those students and graduates to reflect on the skills and attributes that they already have and not take them for granted, and to be able to then apply those skills and attributes in a job interview. And that's not just a face-to-face interview anymore, as we know. It's in psychometric tests, it's online tests, it's actually being on their mobile phones and having a mock interview on a mobile phone, or a job interview on a mobile phone as well. So the evolution and the revolution is very much about recognizing the existing skills and attributes that students have, and that as careers practitioners or as academics we can empower those students to use those. But the revolution is to be able to use online resources to recognize and to reflect those skills when they go to job interviews or for assessment centers as well. I'll be very brief with this one, because really what I'm trying to do is to move this from the previous slide, and just to show that the courses that we've got, and that is the program for the skills and attributes for success in the boxes, ultimately leads to employer, student and institutional success. So really trialing this course is an investment. If I was still a head of service, I would seriously, and I'm biased a little bit because I've been so heavily involved in this program for the last 2 years, but I passionately believe that it's right. When I was at Sunderland, when I was at Durham, when I'm at Newcastle University now doing careers work, I recognise that there are so many different online tools that we purchase in our institutions to develop the skills and attributes that our students have. But we have to make critical financial, economic decisions about which ones are the most appropriate ones to meet our students and our institutional needs. And I honestly, passionately, firmly believe that if I was still working in a managerial role, I would be auditing what we've already got and seriously considering perhaps losing some of the existing material that we had and purchasing or at least trialing out this skills and attributes for career success, because I think it is the most pertinent and the most appropriate tool on the market at the moment. That isn't biased, that is an honest, experienced judgment as an experienced manager and careers practitioner. This is the best that there is out there at the moment globally. So just to summarise this, and in the next and final slide before I hand over to Charlene and to John again, many of you, if you are careers advisors, and I know you come from different backgrounds, will be aware of the DOTS model of self-awareness, decision-making, opportunity awareness, and ultimately lifelong learning and transition learning. That to me is quite critical. Reflecting back again on what I said before, that students who are in our institutions at the moment, or graduating this year, or graduating just in the last 2 years or so, will be going into a marketplace, an employment marketplace, whether it's public, private sector, not-for-profit sector, that is in complete flux. And what we need to do with this course is to embed within those students and those graduates an ability for lifelong career development and self-awareness, and ultimately for career and professional development. The DOTS model, which has been around for 25, 30 years, has never ever gone out of date, because it shows and reflects what we all have to do within our careers, whatever age, whatever experience. And this skills and attributes for success course really balances the DOTS model with the existing global market of movement and growth of students and graduates, and prepares them for whatever might be ahead of them in 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. In the news yesterday, they were talking about our graduates now not retiring until they're 70. Well, I would dispute that. It's probably going to be 72 or 73. So how can this course support that in a sense, and help them not just in the short term, but hopefully in the long term as well? So to me, this just captures it all. It's, to me, offering value for money. As a manager of career services, I was constantly being pressed, if that's a word, not coerced, but encouraged, I think might be a better word, to show that what I was delivering and what my staff were delivering, whether that was with online or one-to-one or groups or with was about offering value for money. A skilled graduate labour force equals institutional and student prosperity, but it's all about partnership and support for those students, especially if they are paying huge amounts of money to come to university. They want education, but they want outcomes as well. So that's my brief presentation. Thank you for listening, and I'd be very welcome to take any questions after the webinar is completed with John's presentation now. So over to you, John.
Thanks very much, Tom. And to pick up on some of the excellent points Tom has made and to address the issues that we face in this sector, before I do, I think it's just worth remembering that it's been about 2.5 years in developing this product. And there's some key points that we addressed when we started. This was all about supporting achievement, not making any assumptions about the students or the institutions where those students would be. And core to us as a team was ensuring that students were treated as individuals and ensuring equal opportunities. And I think that's reflective of where we are as a sector as we face ongoing scrutiny of inclusivity, supporting social mobility, and as we move to ensuring positive outcomes for all, not just in a first destination after graduation, but as Tom quite rightly said, for their lives as professionals. The quote on the screen comes from a recent finding by Universities UK that by 2020, not that far away, 74% of new jobs will be in occupations with the highest amount of graduates. And those, majority of those new jobs will be graduate level employment. So in a sector where we're looking to recruit more students, and indeed, it's not particular to the UK, more are being encouraged to go on to higher education. We need to ensure that we're preparing students for life after university. We recognise that we are preparing those students for a number of job types that have yet to be defined. And we are at that critical stage in ensuring there's clarity on the skill sets required to fill these roles, not just now, but the roles of the future. And Tom referred to the findings by the Association of Graduate Recruiters, where recruiters are saying that they're losing graduates not long after employing them. And it's not particular to the UK. Recently, the Association of Commonwealth Universities has kicked off its programme to address issues of countries recognising that their future success depends on the creation of talented graduates, but those graduates themselves expect to have a return on their investment. What this slide illustrates are challenges that I've recognised and that Tom has recognised, and we know from speaking to colleagues throughout the sector, both here in the UK and abroad, are common challenges faced by all students going to university when it comes to thinking about their skills development and career success. There are a number of barriers that are presented to students when they arrive in higher education. The first is it's a really noisy place for them. There is so much demand on their time. There is so much that they have to get used to as a new student in university. And they will all see the same things that they need to solve, a little bit like the Rubik's Cube, but they will all start that problem solving differently, and they will all process it in a different way. And linked to this problem solving is they will be faced with a number of paths or doors that they can go through. And they'll have to make a choice very early on in their time as a student as to the paths they're going to follow. And if they get it wrong, they might not come back to the start. So it's a really hard system for them to navigate. And that's what we're all faced with as institutions, irrespective of where we're geographically based. What also keeps us together as institutions, what we have in common, is that we're all looking to ensure that we are providing this support for our students. And we have seen a shift in the sector. Careers advice and guidance is no longer simply a matter of added value or a nice to have. As institutions, we are recognizing that it is core to the student's personal and professional development. But in the same way that Tom referred to his experience of a meeting in terms of whose job this was, we recognize that we need some hooks. If there's going to be effective engagement in ensuring students are supported, we need to ensure that there are hooks for the university decision makers, for the students themselves, and for the staff who will be interacting with those students. And there is some overlap with what this program for skills and attributes for career success provides for each of those stakeholders. Firstly, the return on investment for the university. We're looking for positive outcomes, positive graduate destinations and outcomes, but a lot more than just a job. We are all being assessed by more and more data, whatever the measures are in your own institutions, as Tom has questioned. We're all having to look at the data. There are some aspects that might be questionable. Recently in the UK, we've had publications of earnings data. Just because a graduate is earning a high salary, does that mean that they've got career satisfaction? If a graduate starts volunteering when they leave university, is that a bad decision if it is actually the right stepping stone to get them to the career destination they are looking for? What we do know, though, is that data has a very big impact on student recruitment. More and more prospective students and those who are supporting the students are making choices on the basis of the data that is revealed, making choices to choose between which universities to go to. And we've also seen recently in the UK the same set of graduate outcomes data being used to inform more than one survey or outcome. So recently, all of the data that the UK used to collect on graduate jobs has been used to determine the overall teaching excellence of universities in the UK. If you've been following the news, there was a lot of talk around this earlier this month when teaching excellence, so that whole student journey, was called into question, and what institutions were doing for in terms of value for money. And I think this focus on, in the UK, where we now look at graduate outcomes rather than graduate jobs, is reflective of what's been happening elsewhere. So for example, in Australia, the same survey, graduate outcomes, has been very informative into the UK's development. Second stakeholder looking for a return on their investment, as the Association of Commonwealth Universities pointed out, is indeed the student. And it's a return on the investment of their money and investment of their time. Whether the student pays fees or not, higher education is an expensive experience. Just living while studying is an expense. So a student will be asking, what is their return? It's also an investment of their time. Will the student be able to combine study alongside work? Will the student be able to forego part-time work when they're finding relevant work experience? And what other commitments does the student have on their time? Are they able to do a vast variety of extracurricular activities that will look great on the CVs? Or do they have a number of other responsibilities that are putting barriers on what they can be doing outside of the classroom? So key for this program with Epigeum is ensuring that students can make informed choices. So when they are making applications, they are more relevant, and those applications, be they for an experience or employment, have a greater chance of success. This, I'd like to say, is not my office. It is the third stakeholder I'm thinking of, and that is staff in higher education. We know that staff across the sector are facing more and more demands on their time. They are given more responsibilities to support a student's academic and pastoral development. And there is temptation when there are demands like this for us as the academics in institutions to provide information to our students rather than engage in their development. And I think the critical point here is that we are facing generations of students who receive information in a non-paper format. So that electronic YouTube generation, the requirement for it to be interactive, is something that we've taken into account when considering how this course should be structured. When I came to university 14 years ago, working with students, and I think it's probably similar to Tom's experience and that of our other colleagues, I would find that it was normally my students in their final year, as they perhaps had finished their set of final exams, that they'd be thinking about accessing specific advice to help them with their career destinations. And the question posed here is, what is the best time to start? It's actually the best time to start is as soon as they enroll with us as students at institutions, and this is backed up by some evidence published earlier this year. The UK has been on a journey to ensure that the records that record student achievement become more standardized to allow our students to move and develop careers in a global workplace. And we have something that we've been working on in the UK and Europe called the Higher Education Achievement Report. This report, students get along with their certificate when they graduate from university. But what was clear when we surveyed students across the UK was that they felt that they were getting information too late in their time as a student. And the clear outcomes from that survey is that they said they would like to have had the support early on in their journey as a student, that they wanted to be in control, and they wanted to be supported in the ability to reflect on their experiences and to be helped to set goals so that during their time as a student they could be proactive in developing their careers. And recently, the Association of Graduate Careers Advisory Services in the UK has done a survey on what it's called student career readiness. And overwhelmingly, the outcome of that report was that the time to engage students in developing their careers was in the first term of their first year. And these are all relevant pointers that have been taken into account in this programme. Question to consider is this course that's been developed. Could it be complementary to an existing process, or is it more standalone? This course could actually be a big change for your organisation. As Thomas said, he would now go through an audit as to whether it would be the appropriate thing to use to replace the old provisions that they used to have, and we're going through the same thing here at Swansea. And whether it will replace what you already have or is complementary, the way the programme has been designed offers flexibility, as Charlene explained earlier, as to how it can be introduced and used. And I think it's important to bear in mind here that small changes can have very big impact. In my time here in this sector, I have seen that big sudden changes to help students can actually cause more difficulties. And we've had more success where we've thought about existing processes where we could slot in something new that would give that added benefit to our students. And I think it's important to highlight here that when designing the programme, we've been realistic in terms of our timings and the types of activities that students are supported through to ensure it's manageable for them and can deliver real tangible results. And finally from me, recently planning our summer vacation. We're not actually off to Moscow, but this picture reminded me of a tactic I have when I go into discussions with senior management, and that's the Moscow model. The Moscow model, for those of you who haven't come across it, stands for must have, should have, could have, won't have at this time. So very much when I'm thinking about what our students need and how we're going to support them, is what I'm looking at something that we must have, should have, could have, or actually we won't have at this time. And what I'd like to leave you with at this part of the presentation is, in terms of your own institution and in terms of what this programme offers, where does successful student outcomes fit in? Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you, John and Tom. They were really insightful presentations. So now I'm going to move on to the course demo. So here I'm going to walk you through the key features and highlights of the Skills and Attributes for Career Success course. Firstly, I'm going to show you a typical screen. So this is what our online course looks like. At the beginning, you will see we will always show the learning outcomes. Here they are listed at the beginning of the course. We've also got on all of our courses a course summary and a learning portfolio. And here at the bottom of the screen, there are bullet points that summarize all of the key learning points, followed by downloadable extension activities. And underneath that, we have a resource bank, which includes a printable and editable glossary found here. On every course, we also have a course quiz that helps students recap what they have learnt throughout the course. I'm going to stay in the same course, so the introductory course. On here we can find short blocks of text and clear language that ensures the content is accessible to all students. There are different pods scattered around on all of the courses that we have on this program: future work, your context, useful advice, and useful information. This future work pod is designed to help students consider how the world of work and employability skills may change over time, and emphasises the need for continuous learning and development. So a pod looks like this. This particular screen includes a reflective activity to get users to consider what they know before feeding back. There's also a glossary term, so students can click on the word and they will see the definition when they click on the box. And we also have a close activity, which asks users to pick the correct word from the drop-down menu. And it will continue until they have chosen the correct answer. I will move on to Course 2, Creative and Innovative Thinking. Here we have short video interviews, and throughout the other courses as well, with employers talking about creative and innovative thinking, and this is accompanied, like all of our videos, with a transcript. Elsewhere in the programme, you will find video interviews with recent graduates in a range of job sectors, as well as opinion activities, allowing us to address different disciplines or industries where relevant. So I'm going to play you a video now so you can get a taste of what they're like.
We encourage people to challenge convention and think differently, to look for improvement ideas and opportunities, and to leave things better than they find them, really. Technology at its heart, our people are very creative. Software development is an art at the end of the day, so their ability to innovate and take things to a whole new level has been core to our success.
Okay, so this screen also shows a note-making activity where users can reflect on the videos they have just watched, respond to the questions, and then, as with all note-making activities, they can see and print their answers. Now going to a different section on this page, assessing your creativity and innovative thinking. There are two interactive activities on this screen. The first is an action maze that asks the users a series of questions, and their answers are either direct them to another question or some feedback. The second is a paint activity, which allows for students to reflect on themselves and encourages them to self-analyze and allow them to criticize themselves. This is one of the several activities that gives users the opportunity for self-reflection. Now moving on to another course, Leadership Skills, What Makes an Effective Leader? A flashcard activity here gives users short bursts of information. They need to undertake the knowledge testing of the interactive activity to follow. here, the interactive activity gives us a scenario on each panel, and the users pick leadership characteristics from the drop-down menu. If they are correct, the answer will turn green. If not, the space is blank and they can keep trying until they get the correct answer. So there are a variety of scenarios here. Application screens in the skills development section gives users the opportunity to apply their learning in a more practical way. So I'm going into the commercial awareness course down in this application screens section, and this gives hints and feedback to typical job interview questions, and then gives the users a chance to come up with their own answers to key interview questions. They can get advice on how to make a good answer. Okay, so that was a whizzing tour around the course. I hope it has helped you understand how we create our courses and to see some of the key features with this demonstration. Now we're going to move on to the questions section. So if you do have any questions, please type them in now. If you don't want to ask questions now, you of course can send them to us via epigeum@oup.com. We do have one question in here from Stephen. I'm just going to read that now. Is the employability content pitched primarily at coursework students, so undergraduates or postgraduates? And how relevant is it for PhD or HDR students? I don't know if Tom or John, you want to answer this?
Yeah, I'll come in first if you don't mind, John. There's a couple of things to say on that. One is I think it's particularly relevant to undergraduates, but also postgraduate taught or MRes students. The labour market that those students are going to go into are very, very similar in effect. Having said that, and this course complements other work that Epigeum has done with skills development and attributes for success for PhD students, a course that I wrote and it's been updated a few years ago by Epigeum, and that Denise Best from Oxford University wrote with for arts, humanities and social scientists for me, and scientists for Denise. So there are career planning specific courses for PhD students that Epigeum has, but this course I think can complement it as well. I stopped there to think about how to explain that. I've done a lot of work with PhD students as a careers practitioner, and I firmly believe that those PhD students, however articulate and intelligent and knowledgeable specifically about their subjects, are sometimes a little bit naive, one could say, about the world of work if they're not going to go into academia, or don't understand and appreciate the skills and attributes that they've got. So this course, alongside the other courses that they've got for career planning for PhDs, is particularly relevant. And you may have those courses already. But certainly for master's students, this is just as applicable for master's students as it is for undergraduates.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom. I think that answers your question, Stephen. Please let us know if you have any more questions. There's also another question from someone here. I can't see the name, but how does the course cover what employers of graduates are looking for? And John, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, thank you, Charlene. A lot of work has gone into the design of the syllabus and the learning outcomes. And I think from Tom's presentation in particular, when he went through what those universities of Dundee, Sunderland have been doing is typical of universities in looking at the skills and the mindset. So ensuring there's resilience in the students that we are supporting and allowing to enter the world of work. This isn't anything new. I can think back to 2004 when in the UK the CBI and the National Union of Students got together and asked employers to articulate what they were looking for in students that were applying for graduate schemes with them. And all of those requirements, negotiating with influence, leadership, initiative, they have always been around. What this program allows us to do is to articulate them clearly to students so that they can see, irrespective of the degree scheme they are studying, that it's actually the skills and abilities. And what's been really nice, the work that Tom and I have done, is being able to talk to employers who've been part of making the films, the video clips for the program, but actually they're telling us this is what they need.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you very much. So I think that all the questions we have for now. If anything does come to mind later on, you can email us at epigeum@oup.com. Some of you may have already been in touch with us in regards to some of our online courses, and we can give you a lot more detail in regards to pricing and such, so please do contact us if you have any questions. We are able to provide you with a free institutional trial of this course if you'd like to get a feel for how it looks and functions for your institution. We will also send out a recording of this presentation so you can watch it again and share it with any colleagues that may find this of interest. So I'd just like to say thank you very much to our presenters, and thank you very much for everyone for attending the webinar today. I hope you have a good rest of your evening, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.